Okay, so welcome to another episode of the Expat Experience, and I'm joined today with Ian, who I met. What was it? A weekend ago.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
in Alula, and we met as he runs the show there, which is the sort of adventure and an outdoor experience part. And I remember going into it. You're going to see another video on this. You're going to see our experience. But I remember going into it, and I think I had a sleepless night because my girlfriend put a thought in my head of, oh my God, what if it's not safe? Like, we could actually die. And so just turning up, but seeing the setup, seeing you, all fears were gone. But
Cool.
say
Cool.
hi to the people watching. And usually, just so you know, the people watching are people who are thinking about coming to Saudi Arabia.
Okay, awesome.
So lots
Well,
to-
look, thanks for inviting me. And yeah, it was lovely to meet you in Alula. You saw our operation in full swing. It was the busiest weekend we've had this year. We had every product rammed and
Yes.
and happy customers everywhere.
Oh, it looked like
you
it.
saw it on a high.
Okay.
And yeah, so adventure in Saudi Arabia. It was an interesting evolution getting here.
I'm sure.
But
I'm sure.
it's going really well, and I really like the changes that we're seeing, and the direction that RCU and Alula is going. It's a sea of mountains where we are.
Yes.
It's fab.
Oh, it's like just every time I go, it's like just surreal again.
Yeah.
So for you waking up each morning, you're like, unless it's just wallpaper now.
You know, I run a team in the UAE as well. You know, we work warrior group. We bring adventure to countries and destinations, and we change people everywhere we work. And actually, Saudi is our best project right now.
Really?
I really believe it. And Alula is the
jewel in the crown.
It's the tip of the spear.
Tip of the spear. Well, we'll get onto that. We'll go live in a moment, and I'm looking forward to this.
Pete, lovely to see you. And it was nice to meet you last week. Yeah. Look, I've been in Alula for a few years now, and we've been developing and managing the adventure product, and it's a fabulous place to be, and it's been a fabulous experience. So we run the zip line initially in Alula, and that was a really cool project to get involved with. We were invited in last minute because somebody had dropped the ball and overpromised and couldn't deliver, and we turned up with a couple of weeks' notice to open a zip line that turned out to be the longest zip line in the region, and we've expanded it. It's now double the length.
Is it?
Yeah, it's
my
nearly
God,
2 kilometres.
Why didn't I book it when I was there? First time we did it, it was insane.
Yeah, it's a great product, and my team on the ground, you know, I call them my warriors. Warrior Group is our company, and look, they love the job. They're super professional, Western mentality, and you know we're super lucky. We're doing, you know, we're on it. And they're trusting us. So yeah, it's good.
Well, it seems to be sort of making strides, making leaps over this period. I remember you saying you started up on the top of that mountain, and each day you'd have to have an ambulance. You'd have to get that. Some days they wouldn't turn up. Some days they would.
It's like the story of recent change in the country, really,
Yes.
because, you know, for us to be able to open our zip line, we had to book an ambulance every day. And if the ambulance was late, you can imagine it never turned up on time very often. We would have to delay operations and wait for the ambulance crew to arrive. Thankfully now we're 4 years in, so we've never needed the ambulance, and we only had to have it for the first year.
I see. But so talk to me about how you ended up here, because you have a very interesting story sort of about how you ended up here originally and how you experienced Saudi back in the 90s, was it?
Yeah, so look, I'm an adventurer, and I was working in the mountains, and I was setting myself up in you know, post-military career. I was an outdoor instructor, I'd been off in the Himalayas. I'd lived in Kathmandu for a few years.
Oh wow.
Set up at the first mountaineering school in Kathmandu, which was really cool, an amazing thing to do with my wife. But we wanted kids, and my oldest is 24, so it was probably 25 years ago we were doing that.
Okay.
And I set up this company, and I thought, right, what do I do? And I went to a trade show and paid for a booth. Back then it was a big risk, and I spent a lot of money doing it. And one guy came up to me, and he looked at one of my images of an adventure product, and he said, wow, I could use one of them. And I'm like, okay, cool, that's what I do. He says, you could put a canvas over it, you can have a wedding in the desert in Saudi. I'm like, oh, time waster. And I brushed him off, trying
Moved
to get
him along.
Move along. I've got some real customers I want to talk to. And lo and behold, he rung me up. He says, team building, we need you. So that was in the mid-90s.
Wow. Okay.
That was cool.
And that was like the one you kind of ignored and passed along, but actually that was the one who set you on a whole different trajectory in life.
That's what happens in life, isn't it? It's something out of your periphery vision that you end up picking up, and we all go in strange directions, don't we?
Yes. And so you came over and you were sort of developing team building.
Yeah. So I was working for NCB, Bank Al Ali, and they had me there for 8 years. I was coming in for 6 weeks at a time. Mm-hmm. The best way of seeing Saudi back then. It was awesome, and I fell in love with the place then.
Okay, so even back then you were like...
Yeah, you get down one-on-one with the people. The people are just amazing, right? They're the friendliest people on a personal basis. They go out their way to make you feel welcome. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. They love their culture, and I really warmed to the people.
Okay, and at that time, did you ever think you would be ending up here again?
Well, I ended up working in Dubai, and I've been in Dubai for 8-9 years now, and working with a really good bunch of guys. We're very professional at what we do. We've taken the bull by the horns in the UAE. We run some big adventures there. We run the longest zip line in the world, and that's one of my roles. Actually, I spent I've been here for 4 years, but I was pulled back for 3 months in the last summer to replace the cables on that zip line, which was insane. 3 kilometers long, those cables. Yeah.
I don't know how you even start going about that, but
so working with these guys in Dubai, where we're young, we're really vigorous, and we want to be out there doing an adventure somewhere. And if we're not working, we're out biking, we're out playing. So
because you have like a very, very different experience, I think, to most expats. And I think there's some actually like similarities that are kind of coming up in the future, whereby so for now you are out of the cities, really. Yeah. Would that be fair? Like, you're getting some time in the cities. Obviously now you're in Jeddah for the F1, which is awesome, and we'll touch on that later. But you're still very much out in the sticks, and you're not having to live that compound life of work home, which I think a lot of people do. So you probably have a very different perspective of life here in Saudi. But where I say the similarities come in is I know there's floods of people coming in to, say, work in NEOM and projects there, which aren't necessarily built up massively at the moment. So they get more of that less sort of what do you call it, urbanized type environment.
Yeah. Look, Alula's a really easy place to live. It's a cool spot. If you've got an adventure streak in you, it's the nicest place to be. In that it's a sea of mountains. It's a beautiful place. And the people are so warm, so friendly, so welcoming.
Yes.
And in my first year, it was a few years ago when I first came, there was daily invitations to people's farms. I remember driving down the street in Alula, and a guy coming behind me flashing his lights. Nothing unusual in this part of the world, but he was flashing his lights for me to stop, and I'm thinking, oh, there must be something wrong with my car.
Yes.
So I pull over, and he says, "Coffee, you come to my farm," and I basically had to follow him.
Really?
I'm on my way to a meeting.
Text someone you're going to be late. Go stop for coffee.
Exactly.
It's a small time. World will get around if you.
And this guy, just opened his farm, and I'm there for 2 hours, and until I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be somewhere. I've got to go. And yeah, Alula's a really friendly place. It will lose it, but right now it's such a nice place.
Because it was funny, like one of the first things we did there was this dune buggy thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we went there, and not with you guys, so
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah,
sorry about that. But we turn up, and it's a guy and his friend basically, and one of the guys is just sort of in a thobe, and we're like, okay, I can't, he's just there to admin or whatever. And the other guy, like, interestingly, he had lived in the UK, he had been to uni in Brighton, but he was from Alula, and he was saying, like, a few years ago people didn't even know Alula. Like, it was kind of like a almost like a nothing town, right? Sort of an amazing place, but it didn't have that name. And so for him now, like, it's like he's trying to major in international tourism now. So it's
like there's a lot of people like him coming, and it is a world-class destination.
Yeah.
I'm an adventurer, and the mountain biking in Alula is the best biking in the world, and I say that in inverted brackets because honestly, the biking there's off the scale, and nobody's doing it.
Really?
It hasn't been discovered yet.
So the first time I went was pre-corona. And it was a client and a group of friends. It must have been about 20, 30 people who were all like triathletes and everything. So I got invited, never ridden a road bike before. And they were like, yeah, we're going on a ride. And I borrowed a friend's bike, which is too small for me. And I thought, I'm only going to do 10K or something. And we sort of started at 5 a.m. or something. The sun's coming up, amazing scenery and everything. And it gets to the first point, it's like, okay, 20K. I'm like, okay, it's all right. Then you get to the second. Actually, you're going from point to point and having no idea how much distance you're covering.
Oh, that's the worst.
Like, you get to the next point.
It's
you're
all
like,
out
okay,
there, right?
I'll do the next one. I'll do the next one. You run out of water, and like 7 hours later, I've done 116K.
Oh, fantastic!
And that was like, I was dead.
You did the outer ring. You did the outer ring around Alula.
I have no idea what I did, but
Brilliant.
it still haunts me. But no, seeing it like from, I mean, that was on the roads, and you're at the same time sort of, dodging cars and everything. But the mountain biking, I imagine, must be next level. Because I have had a peek on your Instagram, and there's pictures of someone mountain biking. Not sure if it's you. Is it you?
Yeah, I'd like to think it was me, but no, we paid for a couple of guys to come over, Red Bull riders from Europe. Tom Ulla, Austrian guy, and Gert from Germany, and they came over for a week, and they were blown away by it as well. We've been exploring for 4 years there, and we opened a bike park in the first year, but it was too soon. And the culture in Alula, there was no biking culture then, and it's lovely to see it thriving now.
Yes.
And so our bike park was just too much for them. We had 20 jumps. It was awesome. It was like this mountain bike park that you would die for, and I loved it. I would go there daily, find an excuse to go to our bike park. But,
detour for coffee on the way.
Yeah, but we had a coffee shop there as well, so we had everything running there, but no customers, unfortunately.
Okay. So that's one of those things of it's just a little bit too early.
It was too soon, and but I think the next one will definitely get gravity and it will work.
Okay.
And whether it's us or somebody else, who knows? But Alula's got it. It's got this amazing countryside.
And who do because I mentioned to you off air, like this group of planners, researchers hit me up on the top of the Harrop viewpoint, and they were trying to understand who goes, like how they obviously who their market is, who they want to speak to, and everything else. Like, you must have such a a different or a perspective on who is coming, and then who is coming to do the more outdoorsy, active stuff. Have you seen that change over the years?
Yeah, it's well, look, during COVID was a strange one here, and it didn't really happen in Alula. We were in the backdrop, and we loved it. Okay. We had to get the Al Hussan app. It was Tawakalna.
Again, everyone's like eyes twitching when you hear that.
Remember that. So we had to do all of that, but there was very little restrictions. But we were so busy because Saudis were locked in, and they couldn't go anywhere. And Alula was on their hit list.
Well, that's exactly why I went with that. I think actually it was the group was after, and so that's why because people would go Jeddah and Riyadh.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
it.
Didn't exist back then, and that was the awakening. COVID was really good for Alula, I think, because the town was full,
Yes.
and everybody that came were blown away by the place.
Mm.
Well, my first experience was, wow, this is a place. It's a
Yes.
mountain town that hasn't been discovered. So
Yes, that must be rare to come across nowadays.
yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. But it's good. I'm enjoying my time in Alula. I love the place. I love the people, and the potential is, you're going to hear lots of new big stories coming out of the place
Yes.
As we get more footfall.
Because it definitely is a premium destination, right? In some aspects, I imagine. But or how would you see that? Because I might be.
Yeah, it is a premium destination at the moment. The hotels are expensive, and there's not many hotels,
Yeah.
so that has to change. And I think there is a plan. I'm sure I've, without actually having seen the plan, I'm hearing, the hostels are coming, and campsites are getting formalized. Right now you can camp anywhere, but there's going to be organized campsites with facilities which will bring our market sector actually, because
I was going to say, because you're probably not too much in the premium,
it doesn't
super
work
premium.
for us. Yeah, we're a bit too grungy, climbing on
A bit,
big nails don't really work on climbing routes. That's a bit of a challenge for
I
our
remember
customers.
there was a guy who kind of went up with us abseiling, and I think he took a sort of slight misstep and a fall, and I think he was like nursing this sort of little scratch on his hand for the rest of the time. But meanwhile, me and Tara are waiting. We let them go first, and it's like, how I got to drive back to Jeddah? I got to be on the radio at 5. Totally missed that. But yeah, like so when big awakening when it comes to Saudis.
Yeah.
What would you say when it comes to foreigners?
Oh, the foreigners are blown away by it, in the same way as we are, because Alula, it's a big area, and nobody had heard of it a few years ago.
Yeah.
They've seen the marketing in Europe, so we're getting people coming in from Europe. The adventure travellers are in.
Because that's what I noticed. You got I heard a lot of like German, Swiss accents, Dutch. Because they seem to be more the adventure type than maybe the Brits. I don't know.
We're seeing a lot of German cyclists this year, a lot of French cyclists, kind of interested in backpacking and cycle packing, and they're doing. We put them up. We let them camp in our facilities. We have kitchen for the staff. We give them access to it.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
Anybody that adventurous is in, man. If you're cycling around Saudi, you've got a screw loose like the rest of us.
You've got to give them a helping hand. Okay. So it's definitely becoming this hub of all sorts of different things, whether it's the concerts, whether it's the races, Dakar, like all these kind of extreme stuff, but then, premium stuff, and then the cultural side and the more events, like the Mariah and the shows there.
Yeah, there's a whole facet of appeal in Alula, and they're pushing lots of different directions. Thankfully, they're pushing adventure, and that's
exactly because when I was planning stuff with Taya, we found you guys through Experience Alula, right? That's where people can find you, and so we're looking at stuff, and I'm kind of gearing towards the abseiling and the buggy, and Taya sees like an art walk.
And where did she want to go?
Like an art walk, or like it's more of the
Oasis.
More of the, yes. We drove past that. And she's like, I want to go there. We don't have time. We're fully booked.
Well, how did you get away with that?
It was my belated birthday trip. So, and to be honest, I feel like she prefers that kind of stuff as well, because it's like you want to feel something.
They're memories, aren't they? Kind of adventure. A life without it is just too challenging, really. Because you need to get out there, and they're the lasting memories that you have.
For sure, and there's a funny moment, kind of realization when I was sort of dangling from a rope, however many meters high up in the air, and I kind of looked over my shoulder, and you're just like, oh my god, okay. Shit. And you start thinking about what can go wrong and all this kind of stuff, and it's similar to, I don't know if you've ever been, I think you have, like scuba diving, where if you start thinking about, oh my god, I'm 40 meters underwater, like there's no quick escape, like if something goes wrong I'm dead, kind of thing. And for me it was like just get your feet back on the cliff face, and step by step,
you've
got like solid ground technically in front of you. You're kind of limited in your vision, and just like diving, if you focus on your breath, like everything's fine. And I really like that element of the outdoor adventure stuff, whereby it just forces you to be present and just be in that moment.
And that, it blocks out all of the other stress that you have in life, which actually wears you down. Whereas the stress you get from adventure builds you up. Actually, that's a really nice analogy that you identify. I agree.
And being vulnerable and honest about my just take a spare pair of shorts or something.
Look, our products, we're using Western standards. So we've got European standards for everything that we do. And we've just opened some really good new products. This season, 2 products we've opened. The Giant Swing. In my opinion, it's the most adventurous commercial giant swing.
Who was it? I think Florence showed me the video of her trying it. And even she was like, I knew it was coming, but oh my God, did that hit me.
Florence is one of our seasonal staff. She's really cool. She's from the New Forest in the UK. So she's moving up to NEOM. We're opening an adventure centre in NEOM as well. We're a dive centre, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think it's planned for public opening for a year or two. I'm not fully up to speed with the NEOM timeline, but it's coming soon.
Okay, well let's get into more of that in terms of like your team, the expats you work with, and how they're finding that transition. But for now, I think we'll cut to a music break, and we'll give the people some time to just give you a search on experiencealula.com, and then also
the Warrior GRP. The Warrior GRP is our
Instagram
website, and we got Instagrams there as well. But the Alula Adventure Canyon is our Alula Instagram account. It's really cool.
Fine.
It's a good site. Check us out.
So check that out in the break, and we'll be back in about 5 or 10 minutes. How was that?
That went really easily.
Yeah, right? 40 minutes done.
Seriously? Oh,
I mean, we started a bit late, but good.
Okay, cool.
Before we were talking about, like, obviously how you've ended up here and like what that experience has been like for you. And because I think you're in a role where you are kind of, pioneering something, you obviously have to bring in talent. Right.
Yeah, look, we have a great team. My team of warriors in Alula, there's 25, 30 of us, and nobody wants to leave. It's a great place to be, and actually our adventure products, they're top notch. They're really cool, and the interaction we have with customers, it's a great job. Yes. But yeah, obviously we do need to recruit, and we've had challenges with perception. If you're on the outside, look, if you've got a family and you're settled somewhere, we're never going to be able to recruit those kind of people. But there's a lot of singles out there who don't really understand Saudi Arabia well enough to take the leap. None of my staff have left of their own accord. They always have to leave for other reasons, because once they're here, they love it here. It's a cool place to live.
When you're trying to recruit people and trying to get them in, because I know we had an Indian guy who took us. He was amazing, and then I sort of met some of your other team because I think I heard an English accent and said hi. It's always nice to meet fellow Brits, and so you're recruiting from literally all over, right?
Yeah, look, we obviously put marketing ads out there, but they don't work very well. We've been we trail social media in the UK with all of the outdoor specialist Facebook groups, and my network in the UK, I've got quite a lot of followers on social media. They
don't even entertain it.
And we're wasting our time. What we do find is word of mouth. Anybody who's worked with us, they will understand that this is the place to be, and that's how we recruit.
And the types of people you get over, what would you say are the commonalities between them? Because let me give you an example. Like, I feel people who come to Saudi and thrive here are the people who, aren't just coming for the money, but they're wanting to either create an experience in life, start a new chapter, or wanting to grow something for themselves. And that could be, a new industry. It could be, like a new sector. So what would you say, is there like commonalities between the people you have?
I'm not sure, but look, you need an adventure spirit to
Yes.
come here. We all have it, I think, right? Anybody who find themselves in Saudi, none of the people I meet came for the money. They came because it was something unusual, and it was something they thought they'd give it a go, and we all started out with a short-term mentality, I guess.
Yes.
And we're still here.
3 months, I'll do my probation, and then I'll leave, take the money and run. But yeah, I think as soon as you land, well, I mean, you probably went into the old Jeddah airport. That was quite an experience in itself.
It was.
But so maybe when you
the queues today in Jeddah are fairly lengthy as well.
Yes.
Actually, the F1 is a bit of a problem getting in.
I mean that just speaks volumes though in terms of where it's been and where it's going. And it's
look, once you're here for a while and you get under the surface, it's a really cool country. The road trips I've done since I've been here.
Yes.
I just love this country, and it might be because I come from a small country. I come from Wales, where we only have single lane roads. I don't drive very far in my typical day in Wales, whereas this country is massive, and I love it.
I think the thing that I love about the road trips here is just like in London, like you never get like just vastness. Like of just endless landscape, whether it's mountains, whether it's this. Like in London, you get absolutely solid. But here, like you're glued out the window. The only thing that troubles me with road trips, I would say, is when you're going through like those small towns in the middle of nowhere. The bumps. The bumps kill me.
Yeah, I hit one in middle of Jeddah last night, and my passenger flew in the back. Like there was no warning. I didn't see it. It wasn't coloured.
So when we get to those bits, Taya takes over driving because like she drives the limit and is more clear on those. I miss the sun, even in Alula, like on going from place to place.
Alula's getting better. They've removed a lot, and they've marked them with yellow hash.
Yes, it helps.
And that is
right?
a massive difference. But the ones, I don't know what's the point. If the point is to slow you down, let's hide them. It's not going to work, right?
Killing cars. That's what they're doing. Honestly, every time I'm like, okay, is my car going to make the trip? Am I, do I have a spare wheel? Do I have this? Do I have that? Also, another thing in Alula, while you're sort of on the topic, is the speed cameras with stickers.
Yeah.
Have you seen those?
Yeah. There's a lot of speed cameras out there.
Tay was like, that I don't think that was a speed camera. I think it was stickers. I was like, shut up. No, it wasn't.
Yeah, they have.
Literally just stick it.
1 in 5 is a genuine camera. When you've got an area to cover that's hundreds of miles, I guess.
But the boxes are the same. They just don't have the equipment.
They work though. Actually, you slow down.
Yes. So I think with the like going on the conversation of recruitment and getting the expats in, you say like everyone just wants to stay.
Yeah, we don't lose our team. Our team, some of them come in for a season and it's like, oh yeah, how do we come back next year? Can we extend? And most of this year's recruits, we're coming to the end of the season, end of March. We're looking how we can keep them going all summer. So
it sounds like you're expanding. You're going to different places and doing different things. And for example, like, well, what are you doing here in Jeddah? I think you can probably.
We're in for the F1 and a Warrior Group. We're working with partners. We're running zip lines. Parachute simulating machines. Actually, we've got a free fall drop. We've got a 30 meter. It's called a SCAD, and you get hoisted 30 meters up in the air on a crane, and you're literally disconnected, and you fall free for 30 meters, and then a net on the ground catches you.
Oh wow! Okay, so there's nothing tied to you.
You're not connected to anything.
Okay, that's freaking me out. So if people want to do that here in Jeddah this weekend, like where can they find you?
So you need a ticket to the F1.
That's just general admission.
Admission is free on all our rides. We're going to be busy, so join the queue. Come and see us.
People can literally go as many times as they want.
Yeah, we're in the north stand. Yeah, we're in the north stand on the F1, and it's going to be a big weekend. We're really looking forward to it.
When as a coach, like when I'm training people, there's like a satisfaction when you see people pushing hard and getting something out of it, and like pushing their limits, basically. How is that for you when you kind of deal with clientele and you get them to
good
do
question.
something?
Yeah, good question. Look, I'm a real advocate of real adventure. And let me explain that. When I was a kid, I borrowed my dad's mate's rope and went climbing and learned how to do it. And okay, thankfully I survived, but we all survived. None of my mates kind of did anything crazy, but we were scaling mountains on a little bit of hemp rope that we stole from my mate's garage.
Okay.
And we read, and you back then you'd have to get a physical book, and there's a book on knots. Okay, let's learn how to do it. That voyage of discovery now doesn't happen for the new generation coming through. Everything is packaged. We've got this commercial world where even adventure is packaged. And what I mean by real adventure, and we train our staff that way as well, our warrior staff, they're trained to make you realise that, we're not going to help you. We'll never push anybody to do any adventure, and we'll get you to the position where you can really push yourself. We want you to be scared. We want your knees to knock. And ultimately, if you can't do it, we're going to say, okay, fair enough. There'll be something else that you'll be able to do at a later date. And we want them to have this experience, and it's a journey. And, it's about expanding your comfort zone by getting into that stretch, getting into, not going into the panic, because, we don't want anybody to get injured, but we want to stretch our customers to a point where, we've got products. We've got products in Alula where people come off and say, wow, I did that on my own. I can't believe it.
Yes.
And that's what we want. Okay, we started with our zip line, and the zip line's quite hard because it's a package and you're a customer. Whereas the via ferrata, the abseiling, the rock climbing, you are the product.
Yes.
And we'll keep you safe, but we'll make you push yourself as hard as you can. That's how the products work.
Because that did go through my head. I was like, if I just stopped here, like, you can't just stop here. Like, you're the only one who can get yourself down, right? I mean, yes, someone could probably come down and support you, but like,
we have
can't
rescue
just get
gear.
off the ride.
We have rescue gear. We don't have to use it very often.
Yeah.
But it's about preparation as well. Before anybody leaves, like the giant swing that we've got, before you leave the ticket office, the hub, we make people decide who's going first. So there might be 5 customers who don't know each other in this group, and they've signed up for this hour slot, and we all get through 5 in an hour.
Yes.
And we'll say, right, before we leave here, we need to know who's going first, who's going second. And what that does is somebody has to put their hand up and say, all right, it's going to have to be me.
Yes.
We don't want that at the top, because that's just another reason for them to talk themselves out of it.
Yes.
And
that's that pre-commitment.
It is pre-commitment, and it's understanding that they're going for it. There's buy-in from the customers.
Yes.
And if they say to us, "Is it scary?" I'll say, "Yeah, it's really scary." And they'll say, "Is it dangerous?" Look, it is dangerous, but we manage that risk.
And you've signed your waiver, so we're free of liability.
Yeah, we can't injure people. So,
of course.
But I don't want them to know that.
Yeah.
And actually, I'll say, look, adventure is about accepting risk, and it's a journey with an unknown outcome. And good luck, you're going to love it, and that's what adventure is all about.
I'm sure even the most nervous people come off with the biggest smile.
Yeah,
9 times out of 10.
Yeah, people love it. People love it. And actually, the new generation, it's selfie world we live in, and the selfie moments we've got on our products are amazing, and the people are buzzing from the fact that they go away going, wow, look at the images we've got. And that's really cool. I like that.
Well, even that was me. I've got them on this GoPro here, which you can have a look at afterwards.
You're not alone, mate. Everybody's the same, me included. You're living an adventurous life. It's where we want to be.
How many phones have been dropped off from a height? Has anyone dropped theirs?
Well, some of our products in the UAE on Jebel Jais, we have something called a sledder, which is an alpine coaster, and it travels at 100k an hour. It's got a limiter on at 40k an hour, but you're so close to the ground. This thing is terrifying. People think they can go down it and hold their phones, and daily, in the first year, we've stopped people even recovering their phones because we have to close the ride, and people have to go out and find them, and it's like, wow, this is just madness.
Never going to.
They're not allowed.
Okay. Because like on that note, with the when we were there, you said it's the busiest day. You had this like youth group come in, and I think they were doing something over the course of the week, and we're in kind of something similar whereby we have to work to clients' fitness levels, right? And so
Yeah,
there is
yeah.
not necessarily a lot of activity, daily activity in people's lives here. Especially sort of when it gets hot and everything else. That is obviously changing, which is fantastic, but there is a sort of almost like a barrier to being able to hike and abseil and rock climb and all that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
yeah, yeah.
So I think it's amazing how like you're working to get kids involved in this and you're putting
So,
the adventure in them at a young
so,
age.
so we ran the Alula youth camp this year, and we made a focus on adventure, particularly with the older kids. So we had a younger batch and an older batch of kids, like 14 to 17.
Yeah.
And look, the youth of Saudi Arabia, well, Saudi Arabia has been going through some massive changes, but their lives are going to be affected more than their previous generations.
Yes.
Just to look at the speed of change we've witnessed here the last couple of years, and the youth, they're in an unenviable position where all of the systems that they've grown up with are being modified on a daily basis almost.
Yeah.
But they're still youth, and what adventure does for youth is it makes them realize anything is possible. And the interaction we had last week with our youth camp, these kids were buzzing. We were throwing them off adult adventures, and I say that we had parents ringing us going, "Oh, I'm just being told my child is going down a zip line. Are they going to be okay?" And yeah, youth are resilient, but the youth in this country, they need as much guidance as they can get.
Yes.
And being adventurous is such a positive way to live. And what it does is it makes people accept the day-to-day life with ease, and they strive for the next big thing, whatever it is. And it doesn't have to be adventure. The next big thing is out there, and you can look for it. We all have, right? And I would say your audience as well. If they're expats, they've come from a relatively cushy
Yes.
potential somewhere else, and
And that's the thing, like confidence is built off of experience, right? So the more things you do, the more realizations that you can do these things is just going to help
it's
you
true.
go up into adulthood.
And I think that goes back to our recruiting. Once people get here and they realise people are people, doesn't matter where
Yes.
you are, and they're meeting people. We're a multinational team, like you said. We've got Indians, we've got your Filipinos and the normal workforce that you have, but we also have Westerners as well. And we've got a really cool mix of people.
Okay.
And what that does is it makes them realise that anything is possible for our team as well.
Yeah.
And they're on a weekend off right now, and they're out climbing. They've taken all of my buses. All of my team are out camping on some crag in northern Saudi Arabia. Somewhere out
the
playing.
team morale and sort of culture must be something that is pretty exceptional when you consider other workplaces.
Well, I don't think it's any different to any other workplace. Understand the people that you've got and trying to make them as motivated as we can be, and that's important. And our team, I like it that they're not looking for other jobs.
And it's their passion, right? I imagine.
Yeah,
Someone's
it's
stuck
passion.
in stuck in. I'm gonna say accounting. So sorry to all you accountants out there. This might be something you wanted to do when you were 5 years old, but you know what I mean. Like it's like for me being a coach as well. Like fitness was my passion, and then I got a job in it essentially.
Yeah,
so,
but look, when you're doing something that you love, it's not work.
Exactly,
so it doesn't matter what it is. It's finding what you love is the important thing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And it's no different for our team, I guess. But when they're there, they have the same gripes and complaints as any other team do. They're working long hours. They're not paid enough money, and they get asked to do above and beyond.
Yes.
And so all of that, and they have rubs. Particularly when we're full tilt. Max
High
capacity.
Stress, yes.
interaction with people, you know, kind of, and a lot of the communication is broken because it's on radios, and you just have to say one wrong thing on the radio, and then, you know, the next time you're seeing them, it's 4 hours later.
Okay, get someone's back up. You being an expat here, you mentioned your wife is in Riyadh, your kids are kind of out of the country. Like, what are the things you struggle with on a personal level, professional level, that make, you know, living here a little bit more of a challenge, but obviously, you know, a challenge that is worth managing through?
Yeah, interesting question. Difficult one to come at you with some strong answers.
Especially when you seem so positive and enthusiastic.
Yeah, that's the problem with my positive mental attitude. I'm kind of trying to dig. I'm trying to dig an answer. No, look, my partner, she lives in Riyadh, and she's working a really busy life, and getting that interaction with Kate is challenging because we have to steal time, I guess. But you know, that's short-termism, I guess, and you know, we get our breaks. But on the day-to-day, people are working hard here, and you know, that's the challenge. When the hours are long, and you know, there's a working need. The social time isn't enough, I guess. Don't get me wrong, I'm living my dream, so life is good. My kids are in UK. They live in Wales. They're fronting the house that we all grew up in, and it's really nice. I've got one of them here this week. Actually, she's come to help out on the F1, but yeah, being away from your kids, it's never nice to be away from your kids, is it?
Yeah. And I think what you were saying as well in the break is you have done insane road trips with your wife when you have the time.
So Saudi for road trips is one of the highlights of being here, I think. And if you're here and you don't do road trips, then you're missing out on the splendor of the country, because it's a vast country, and we keep getting amazed. You're driving along and it's like, wow, look, the desert just changes, and you're in a different section of desert, and you're only 10 kilometers from the flowing sand behind you, but then it's a whole new outlook.
And what would you say if people are kind of making notes and looking at places to explore in Saudi? We obviously know some of the big names. What would you say have been like the highlights from some of your trips?
So you saw the recent news broke that they found this new carving of camels in the mountain up in Al Juf. Getting a road trip to Al Juf is well worth it. That's a great kind of corner of the country that doesn't get visited very much.
And whereabouts is that? That's northeast.
Northeast, yeah, not far from the Kuwaiti border. So that's cool. That was a really nice trip. Like winter, it doesn't matter where you go. And actually, this particular winter, it's so green out there. It's immense. With all the rain, it's an amazing winter that we've had. So much growth, and the plague of locusts haven't come yet. I've been waiting for them all season, but a few years ago, the plagues that came through were pretty impressive.
Oh, like seriously?
Seriously, yeah.
Oh my,
seriously,
really? Okay.
Yeah. Alula, we're in the middle of a big desert. You know, it's a small oasis, and hours in any direction to the next city. So nature has the controlling hand. So yeah, it was really cool.
Just sort of lock your doors, close your windows. Okay, so that's one.
So another challenge I do find is dietary, and I'm living in a small town, and the choice is a bit limited. I before I came here, I was vegan. I've been here for 3 odd years. I managed the first year staying vegan. I've toned it down. I'm now vegetarian. But even so, that is a challenge. The culinary kind of diversity is a bit limited. The supermarkets I have up in Alula,
I'm sure.
Yeah, they're quite small.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, even down here, when I first came over, it was I still hate going to the grocery store,
Oh,
but even in comparison, I'm sure that's like well,
I've
like
been in
Christmas
town for
compared.
2 days. I've been going into supermarkets
You
simply to
stocking
go in and look. Just I've just been just looking at the shelves, going, "Wow, look at that food."
Okay, so you've turned it down vegan to vegetarian, and I imagine there's probably more of that coming in, easier to cope, or is it still like it's a tough decision every day? You've got to prepare, you've got to like plan your meals
Um,
and so on.
yeah, it requires a bit of bit of training, a bit of discipline, but it's the right health choice for me. I feel healthy on it.
Because where did that come from?
It came from a health drive, I think.
Okay.
I've been off and on vegetarian all my life, and for the last 10 years or so, I've been vegetarian.
Ah,
Vegan
okay.
was maybe it's a fad. Maybe it's because everybody else is going there. 4 years ago, people went, but you need a lot of discipline, and you need a lot of you, choice is limited being a
Yes.
vegan, particularly here. And look, I came from Dubai, and Dubai is the easiest place in the world to be a vegan because we're so close to India, we're so close to so many culinary kind of
Yes, I
outlets.
see, I
So
see.
so the food's easy to do,
Okay.
but
Fine. So, in terms of like where you're headed next, both sort of yourself. I don't know if you have a vision. Maybe you've got a vision board at home. Maybe not.
so
But where like you've been here for sort of 4 years now, coming up to 4 years. Like what's next for you? Because I think you're at a moment where the sort of opportunity in the adventure experience space must be like nowhere else you've seen before, and so to be part
yeah,
of that
look,
must be pretty insane.
I'm super lucky that I'm in an industry that's growing, and it's modernizing, and I'm quite senior now in my age, and there's not many people my age still in the industry, but I've got a wealth of knowledge. I've still got lots more to contribute.
Mm.
I'm really enjoying what I'm doing, and Saudi Arabia, the opportunities for adventure, we're just dipping a toe in the water, really, because
Yes,
the place for adventure is down the west coast from top to bottom. There's adventure all the way down
I
this
see.
country, and that west coast is massive. There's
Yes,
mountains all the
yes.
way down, and there's a lifetime of exploration there. So look, I've got my next leave, my next holiday. I'm heading to Nepal. I'm halfway through my paragliding. I'll get that finished off. I'm hopefully gonna fly with my mountain bike. Spend a bit of time in
Okay,
the bigger mountains, and but yeah, there's lots of adventure still out there.
I see. So
No
you're
big,
kind of
no storyboard.
no vision
Oh,
board,
that
vision
sorry,
boards.
I don't even
Oh, yeah,
didn't even get the name
I
right.
can't see you sort of cutting out pictures from your daughter's magazine or
Life's too
something like
short, mate. I'm out
that.
exploring.
It's up there mentally maybe. Okay, so I think probably like me, you've come here and you realize the full potential of what is here, and there's no desire necessarily to go back home. As we spoke about, not all the best stuff happening in the news, other than the lure and the pull of your family back home. But you've got a pretty unique position, and I guess it's just enjoy that whilst it's there for yourself.
Yeah, cheers. Yeah, will do. Yeah, yeah.
And
Thanks.
you'll have to let me know, and you'll have to drop locations on Google Maps. Be like, Pete, you have to go here. No one else is
Well,
here.
we'll exchange notes for sure because I'm sure you've got some good diving sites that are worth exploring.
Yeah, maybe. Well, and then when NEOM opens, when you're doing your thing up there, because talk about that. How's that? That's
So,
obviously a little bit off in the future, but is going to
well,
be a
it's not. It's
destination.
actually we open in April, so we're opening in 30 days, I guess. So
Okay.
look, NEOM will put their trust in us. We pitched to run their in-house adventure center, and it's the first that we've worked with them really. We've done some training up in NEOM.
Okay.
So so we know the people, but look, they put a lot of trust, a lot of faith in us, and we're opening a dive site. We're opening a diving school, some sailing. We're on the coast, and okay, yeah, I'm going to spend most of my time in the mountains, but I can see the weekends. I can see the lure of the coast coming in.
Because this is what I always would think. Like you're either, or maybe you're not. Well, here you're either like a desert person or a beach person. Like,
Yeah.
is the same true in the kind of adventure world whereby you're either like on cliff faces hiking through, or you're out on the water, under the water?
You know, it depends where you are in your life. Like, there was a time where I was climbing, 24/7. If I wasn't doing it, I was reading about it, and there's lots of rich literature out there. And then when climbing dies off, because it's a skill sport and you've got to train, you've got to be at your peak. The problem is you gain a standard, and you perform to your best ability, and when you tail off, you get frustrated. It's the same with any sport, right?
Okay. So
and then I went into water sports, and excelled there, and did what I needed to do. But I've always been a bit a bit of a kleptomania, I guess. I kind of focus on one thing and I do nothing else, and it takes over, and that's rightly or wrongly positive in some ways, negative in others, but. Mountain biking is my thing right now, and we keep pushing. As I get older, mountain biking is something I can do. It's low impact on your joints, and it's a really cool sport. And you can't really beat going airborne on a mountain bike.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, yeah, it depends what kind of airborne, right?
True. So long as the landing is soft.
Before we close out the show, there's obviously going to be people out there who are interested, and you've piqued their interest when it comes to life outside the city and experiences and pushing themselves, their comfort zones, and that sort of stuff. So what would you recommend to people who want to either give it a try or get more actively involved in the sort of outdoor adventure experience?
Yeah, look, adventure is an industry, and it's a lifestyle as well, and it's been really good for me, and I guess it's only going to get bigger. We've like I say, we're right at the beginning of tourism and adventure here, and the potential is massive. There's a lot of people with an aspiration for a more adventurous life, and it's possible in Saudi Arabia, and we're going to have people internationally coming in more and more as well.
Yes,
as they see the beauty and the potential and the ruggedness of the country. But look, if you want to know more, then, and if you're not sure, we recruit, we employ locals as well, and that's one of our good news stories. And we opened with 4 or 5 Saudi employees, and my girls, they are our core of my team. Okay. My Saudi girls are awesome. They're from Alula, and to see their lives change so much in the last few years, and they're doing really well. So look, you could contact us. Info. Is it info? Or look, you could go direct to the director, Troy at warrior.me or warriorevents.me. So Troy at warriorevents.me, and send your CV, and we're expanding, always expanding. We're a growing company. The potential is getting bigger. You can follow us on our socials and keep in touch. And
that is Warrior GRP?
The Warrior GRP, as in group. The Warrior GRP. And Alula Adventure Canyon. And we pick up on any inquiries and responses. And you can book our activities in Alula through Experience Alula. And that's the online platform. And we're under adventure.
Awesome. So I'll put those, for everyone out there who follows me, I'll put those in my story so you can have a click, just a click through to them. And well, explore that for yourself. But I must say, thank you so much for taking the time out of the F1. Obviously, you've got a decent team in place, doing what they need to do, setting up maybe squeaky bum time as you draw closer to the live day. But honestly, yes, thank you so much for coming in. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks.
And I'm glad you didn't get sort of arrested in the hallway as you were strolling around unassisted and everything else. So unless they're waiting outside to take you off.
Can't be off.
Awesome.
That was painless.
Painless. So last thing, for the people who are considering moving to Saudi,
Okay.
your advice. You can keep it quick, you can keep it brief. What would you say?
So, look, come in with an open mind. Yeah, of course, you know, whatever industry you're in, there will be opportunities here, but you've got to make any opportunity work for you. The people are the warmest people, but people are people, and they're lovely people. And yeah, they're best socially on you know, in small groups, and their kindness really shines through. So you've got to, you know, break through the surface to get to that. Give it time. And if you are coming here, you know, it's a big country and there's a lot to explore. So, you know, be adventurous. Get a car. Don't feel like you're hemmed in. A vehicle is the way to get out, and it gives you freedom. Sure. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, and good luck.
Nice. Thank you, Ian.
Cheers.